And we're going to move right into our next demo for tonight. It's Saskia from Carpool Vote. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Saskia. I'm the founder of Carpool Vote. Now, last year was the first national election since American citizens lost the full protection of the Voting Rights Act. Because of a Supreme Court ruling, states with a history of civil rights violations no longer need to seek federal permission to be able to change voting procedures. Since then, we've seen the closure of nearly 900 polling places, predominantly in communities of colour. New voter ID laws are forcing people to travel sometimes across several counties just to be able to get the right kind of ID to vote. These changes put a serious barrier between communities of colour and the democratic process, and they have spillover effects for people with disabilities, young people, elderly people, and women. Carpool Vote is a tool to fight back against an unfair democratic system. We connect volunteer drivers with anybody who needs a ride to claim their vote. One of the people who called into our phone line last year with an hour to spare before the polls closed has asked me to share her story with you. And I'm not connected to the internet. I was connected.
No, we cannot. We keep it safe so that the speakers can use it.
Sorry for the password disappointment, everyone. Now back to the story. This is a voter who called the phone line about an hour before the polls closed.
I'm actually a guest here recovering from major surgery. And I called to see if someone could give me a ride because my friend who I'm living with will refuse to give me a ride. I made the mistake by telling them that I'm voting for Hillary Clinton, and so they voted for Trump, and they would not give me a ride to early vote and wouldn't give me money to get a cab or to take the shuttle to go. And today, one of them told me they would give me a ride, and then at the last minute said they would, because it wouldn't change the reason I'm voting. Now, I'm not interested in getting anybody in trouble. I just want to go vote.
Now the timing was quite tight, and the first thing I did is I referred her to Uber and Lyft because they were doing rides to the polls thanks to a crowdfunding campaign. Unfortunately, although Harriet did have a smartphone, and this is actually quite rare for our service users, she didn't have internet access at home, and she also didn't have the technical skills to be able to use these platforms by herself. So I signed her up to the platform. Now I'm going to walk you through the process. Okay. Now, on this occasion, there was only one date and time, but drivers and voters can all sign up for as many dates and times as they like, so we can match them for whatever overlap there may be. So Harriet would have been matched with anyone who is available during that time frame. And also gave a radius that covered the pickup location and the drop-off location. Now, voters have the option to take a companion with them if they feel safer that way or if they need assistance. And if someone like Harriet was a wheelchair user, we'd be able to match her with a driver who has a suitably adapted vehicle. There's also space for voters to communicate with drivers other special accommodation needs that they may have. We found last year that about 1 in 10 service users were using this feature to let drivers know about their disability. Now, for someone like Harriet who doesn't have an internet connection, she doesn't actually have to include an email address. She can let the driver know to get in touch with her via phone to arrange the details of the ride. Now, any drivers who meet Harriet's criteria will receive an automatic email or text message if they're asked for that, detailing the details of the ride and letting them know that there's a proposed match. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to show up. So let's see how it goes. Now, the driver is able to accept, there we go. So the driver can choose to accept the match either inside the email or by going to the self-service portal. Let's just log into that quickly. So then the driver can log into accept the match. Now I'd like to show you what things look like on Harriet's end. So I'm going to switch to screens now. So this just lets Harriet know that a driver has confirmed the match, and it lets her know that the driver is going to get in touch with her. And it also includes the driver's details, including the license plate number, so she can be sure that she's getting into the right vehicle. Now, last year, more than 3,000 drivers signed up to help get people to the polls. And this service is succeeding because it's part of an ecosystem. And right now, volunteers in Virginia for the NAACP are being trained to use this tool as a voter outreach service during the primaries coming up on June the 13th. Many of our developers are also part of the Progressive Coders Network, which is a really, really inspiring community of volunteers, technologists who are working to remove the influence of money from politics by empowering the grassroots. Now, we're constantly looking to work with new individuals and new organizations who want to make this effective for as many voters as possible. Right now we're looking for volunteers who are developers and project outreach volunteers, but also looking for professional services and for funding. So if any of this applies to you, please come see me afterwards at the after party or go to our website. It's carpoolvote.com. And I would absolutely love for you to join our movement to help make sure that every American gets the vote that they deserve.
Great, and now we have questions for Unstack and Carpool Vote. Who has questions for this group? Yes, in the top? The question for Carpool Vote is how do you handle insurance liability and all of those things?
That is an excellent question, and it's something that we've been working on with lawyers and lots of partner organizations. And right now our approach is to make the platform as safe as possible for everyone to use. So we have a few features in place at the moment. We ask people not to talk about politics when they're taking the ride. We also give people the option to take someone with them when they're taking the ride. So if that makes them feel safer, we include the license plate checker feature. So if a rider doesn't get into a vehicle with the wrong person, and we obviously have the details of the vehicle, if something does go wrong. And at the moment, we're also working on an identity verification service. Now that is going to be part of the front end. It's going to be built in, so if someone fills in their details, something will be happening at the back, and we'll be able to make sure that the person is who they say they are. It's difficult to get insurance for this sort of thing, and actually we don't have any funding at the moment. So it's something that we can look at once we have a little bit more money to spend on that sort of thing.
Next question, yes.
Sure.
The question for Carpool Votes is how do you confirm details and book a ride if you do not have a smartphone?
What do you mean confirm details? Sure, so that was, I happen to have a smartphone, but if she had a feature phone, that would still be showing up for her because it was a completely, I know there were links in there, she wouldn't be getting the links, but she'd still be getting the information. It still works.
It's all through SMS, correct?
Yeah, it's through SMS. I'm really sorry. I'm British. Maybe I talk funny, but yeah, it's a text messaging service, and it was designed specifically for people who don't have internet access and who don't have smartphones. So the whole system is built exactly around these principles, which is why that's a very, very good question. And you don't, if you're a voter, you don't need the internet to use this. If you're a driver, you do. It's very difficult for us to get around that.
Next question for OnStack. Yes, in the back. I'm sorry, is that for OnStack? Okay, the question is do you have your platform in other languages or just English?
Currently, it's just in English, but we definitely want to expand into other languages. Thank you.
Great. Yes, sir, in the black coat. The question for OnStack is, are you able to edit the video to piece it together to make it the best video possible?
Currently, no. It's no editing. It's you can shoot video with the iOS app, and it has a push to record. So if you let go, you can self-edit, but you have to time it correctly, like Instagram or Vine. And you can also upload videos. So some of those videos with cuts were done with the iOS app, and some of those videos were just edited on a desktop, and the videos were uploaded.
Great. Next question. Yes, in the middle. Yes, ma'am. The question for OnStack is, she saw multiple videos in the overlay and wanted to know if those are individual videos or if they're all connected. And if they're all connected, are you buffering them all at once or how are you compressing the video?
Excellent question, thank you. Those are all individual videos that are dynamically shown depending how the stack curator wants to show them. So if you make a stack, you can decide to order them by upload date, by popularity. You can like videos, and they will dynamically shift. People also can, if you submit a video to a stack and then you decide the next day, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, you can go and remove your video as well, and that automatically gets removed from the stack. Does that answer your question? I don't know. I'm not the developer, so I don't know exactly about compression, but it is. We have developed, a custom module on FFmpeg. That's that's the extent that I know. And
I'm sorry. We're going to move on to the next question.
I'll be happy to talk to you about this afterwards.
At the after party, yes, correct. And last question for this group, yes. The question for Carpool Vote is there an onboarding process if you do not have access to the web or through text message?
Yes, is the short answer. The longer answer is it's in progress. So we're currently working with different organizations because you don't get to service users through the internet. It's not possible. We actually are partnered with a lot of organizations who work with service users. I mentioned the NAACP, also the American Association for People with Disabilities. So we're making a point of getting into the grassroots and also empowering the grassroots, so creating outreach materials so people can actually take this, go into their own community and use it as a tool to do what they're doing already. We're also working with an organization who sends out text messages to voters to be able to, as part of a Get Out the Vote drive. And we're currently discussing the potential of incorporating Carpool Vote into those text messages. For us, we don't want to centralize outreach. We don't want outreach to be on the internet. We want to integrate with that ecosystem that's out there already. There's a lot of organizations. I mean, I'd love to. Okay. We actually have. There wasn't time for it in the demo, but we have a sister site called soulstotopolls.org, which is exactly the same website, same backend, different branding on the front end, and that's because we're working with communities of faith in the South, and they said people don't understand the concept of Carpool Vote. They want to know if you have to pay. It doesn't make any sense. And so we created a new website. And so in the South, it gets promoted under the brand soldtotopolls.org. But they can still be matched with someone who signed up to Carpool Vote.
Thank you. A round of applause for this group.